Good people do not usually walk into a toxic environment planning to stay there. Most people stay because they are loyal, hopeful, hardworking, compassionate, and deeply committed. But sometimes the very qualities that make you a good person are the same qualities that keep you trapped too long. And one day you wake up exhausted, emotionally drained, questioning yourself and wondering when you stop feeling like you.
Welcome to Take Charge with Dr. Chichi.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Take Charge with Dr. Chichi, where we pause, heal, reset, and rise. Today, we're talking about something many people experience, but very few openly discuss. Why good people stay in toxic environment too long. You know, I have people ask me this, and that's actually why I came up with this episode. People ask me, "You still here?" I worked in a job for almost 29 years, and they'll ask me, "Oh, you're still here?" Such questions. And I just saw someone the other day, and she's like, "Are you still there?" And I said, "No, I'm not." So this episode is not just about work. It could be about workplaces, friendships, leadership spaces, ministry environments, family systems, relationships, organizations, and even communities. So if you have ever stayed somewhere that slowly drained your joy, your confidence, peace, and energy, this episode, this episode is for you. So grab a cup of coffee, sit down, or if you don't drink coffee like me, find something, put something in a cup of water, sit down, and let's talk about it. So by the end of this episode, you should understand why good people remain in unhealthy environment. Also, identify warning signs earlier. Stop blaming themselves. Learn practical ways to protect your peace. Understand the emotional and financial cost of staying too long, and then feel empowered by taking charge of your lives again. So the question is, why do people stay too long in a toxic environment? Good people don't leave quickly. They don't. Why? Because they remain loyal. They're always loyal. Good people believe things will improve. They hope. They keep giving people another chance. Fear of disappointing others. They don't want to let people down. Identity attachment. Sometimes your identity becomes attached to the environment, and then they're in survival mode. You become so busy surviving that you stop evaluating. And then also financial pressure. So bills can make people tolerate environments that are emotionally unhealthy. So I always ask myself, which one of these reasons did I stay? Sometimes cultural expectation, especially immigrants, professionals, caregivers, women, leaders, and many people were taught to endure silently. So there was a season in my life, where I was carrying so much, long hours, driving long hours, managing family responsibilities, serving the community, pursuing advanced education, showing up for everybody. And while I was functioning externally, internally, I was exhausted. So I keep telling myself, just keep going, be strong, push through. But toxic environments do something dangerous slowly, like really, really slowly. They make you normalize stress. You start doubting yourself, overthinking everything, walking carefully, smiling while hurting. And because I'm a woman of faith, I kept praying, walking, hoping things would improve. But one lesson. Just one lesson I've learned is this. Staying too long in environments that constantly drain you can affect your health, can affect your confidence, can affect your joy, can affect your creativity and your peace, of course, and even sense of identity. Sometimes people don't realize how much an environment affected them until they finally breathe outside of it. There are some signs you have stayed too long. When you start seeing this sign, just know you've stayed too long. And there's ways that the toxic environment can change you. So one of the most dangerous things about toxic environment is this. They do not usually destroy people suddenly. It's not sudden. It's subtle. They change people slowly. Sometimes you do not even realize how much you have changed until one day you stop and ask yourself, what happened to me? Toxic environments can slowly affect your emotions, your confidence, your personality, your health, your peace, your relationships, your thinking, and even your faith in yourself. So there are signs, and those signs are constant exhaustion, emotional numbness, anxiety before work. Do I really have to go to this job? I mean, I remember um, at some point driving on the highway going to work, and my mind would be skipping, like, really, do I need to go there? Over explaining yourself, over explaining, losing confidence, irritability, isolation, brain fog, lack of motivation, no longer feeling excited, feeling invisible, becoming negative, and always being in defense mode. So, in my last episode, I talked about Take Charge Barometer framework. I came up with a Take Charge Barometer framework, and it has 5 zones. I also call it the 5 Ds, which is a simple, quick way to assess your emotional state. Sometimes people move slowly from drain to drift to distortion, disarray, and disconnect zone, and don't even realize it. Let me break it down with some examples of how toxic environment change you. All right, we're going to talk about sign one. The sign one is constant exhaustion. Sign one is constant exhaustion. You wake up tired, even after sleeping. Your body rests, but your mind never truly shuts down. You have emotional exhaustion, mental overload, survival mode, adrenal fatigue feeling, and constantly being on alert. I don't know if you felt that before. Am I talking to someone here? You may wake up already anxious about work, checking emails immediately, feeling heavy before entering certain environments. Like, do I really have to get in here or do I have to be there? You're constantly telling yourself, I am tired, I'm exhausted, I just need a break. Sometimes your body is not just tired from work, it is tired from emotional tension. Sign number 2, you start losing yourself. You start losing yourself. I'm emphasizing on this. You stop recognizing yourself. You start having personality changes, reduced joy, becoming quieter, losing confidence, no longer speaking freely. Like before you speak, you have to really think about it. Or you're in a meeting, you don't want to talk because you don't want to just say something and somebody will say respond and you have to say something that you shouldn't say. You constantly second guessing yourself. So let me give you some examples. And some such examples will be you start avoiding conversation, no longer sharing ideas. I mean, you just don't want to share ideas because, of course, they're not going to appreciate it in the first place. Someone else might repeat that, but you just don't want to talk about it anymore. You overthink on simple interaction and becoming emotionally withdrawn. So the version of you that used to laugh freely, dream freely, and feel excited slowly disappears. Slowly disappears. And sometimes it could not be happening to you directly, but you just observing other people going through it or other people putting someone you know in that situation might take you to this sign. Sign number 3 is you normalize stress. You normalize stress. You become so used to dysfunction that peace starts feeling unfamiliar. Chaos becomes normal. Disrespect becomes expected. After all, I mean, it's done. They do it all the time. Anxiety becomes routine, and tension becomes everyday life. You stop asking, "Is this healthy?" and start saying, "This is just how it is." I mean, this is just how it is. And then sign number 4, you become hyper vigilant. You're constantly careful, emotionally guarded over analyzing people's reaction, fear of criticism, walking on eggshells. And some of the examples that I want to share will be replaying conversations in your head, worrying about every email, over explaining yourself, becoming afraid to make mistakes. I just want to tell you, toxic environments make people feel emotionally unsafe. This is real. And sign number 5, your confidence drops. It drops. Even highly accomplished people can begin doubting themselves in a toxic environment. That's how bad it is. So they fear speaking up. They have imposter syndrome, feeling inadequate, questioning their worth, shrinking yourself. You find them shrinking themselves. And then sometimes people who once felt powerful begin feeling small. Am I talking to someone? Am I talking to someone now? If I am, just type yes on the comment. And sign number six, you become emotionally numb. You start disconnecting emotionally, lack of excitement, loss of motivation, feeling empty, and then functioning without feeling. I mean, you're not there anymore. So you have no excitement from accomplishments because, of course, nobody recognizes that or they have something negative to say. And you feel detached from people and you're not enjoying things you once loved. At this stage, many people are not living, they are simply functioning. I relate to all this because I lived it. And sign number 7, your health starts suffering. It's either you're having headache or you're having insomnia or you're having body ache. I felt body ache a lot. Elevated stress, emotional eating, high blood pressure, chronic tension. I'm glad I discovered some of this before I got to it. The body keeps score. The body keeps score. You know, like I said, I experienced body aches at some point. Stress, exhaustion, pushing through constantly. Sign number 8, you start isolating yourself. So many people withdraw when they're emotionally overwhelmed. They avoid calls, they avoid gatherings, they're emotionally withdrawn, no energy for relationship. So you may be surrounded by people, but intentionally feel completely alone. So let's talk about the Take Charge Burnout Barometer. The Take Charge Burnout Barometer that I previously mentioned is very, very important. It's an assessment tool. Because burnout is not just physical exhaustion, people often move slowly on these 5 Ds: drain, drift, distortion, disarray, and eventually disconnect. And many people do not recognize the warning signs early enough. So it's really important that we use this tool to help us pause, check in with yourself, because you know what happens? Healing begins with awareness, because you cannot take care of what you cannot name. So how do you protect yourself without losing your good heart? So I'm going to talk about it in steps. I hope you're ready. You have your pen ready. Just make sure you have your pen ready. We're going to talk about it in steps. Step number 1 is stop glorifying suffering. Step number 2 is pay attention to patterns, not apologies. Step number 3, protect your mental and emotional health. Step number 4, build financial stability. Step number 5, stop waiting for everybody to understand. Step number 6, know when growth requires distance. And step number 7, listen to your body. Listen to your body. So let's break it down. What we're talking about here might not just be burnout from work or the experience or why you stay too long at your job. It could be anywhere you find you or any situation you find yourself. So step number 1, stop glorifying suffering. So many people were taught that enduring pain silently is strength. They're told that being strong does not mean tolerating destruction. So glorifying suffering may be due to cultural expectation. It could be workplace culture. It could be survival mentality, guilty. It could be guilt attached to rest. Some people have guilt attached to rest. So in most cases, you stay silent to avoid conflict. You walk while emotionally exhausted. You're constantly saying, I will be okay. I will be okay. I can handle this, right? So strength is not destroying yourself to prove loyalty. So you need to know that not every battle deserves your mental health. Step number 2, pay attention to patterns, not apologies. Toxic environments often survive on repeated cycles. It just keeps on happening, just going around like that. So let me make it more clearer. Toxic environments reveal themselves through repeated patterns. Toxic environments reveal themselves through repeated patterns. So it could be in form of temporary apologies, maybe from your boss or anyone, or even a relationship you have, false promises, repeated disrespect, manipulation. So you find people in your environment, or even you saying things will change. You're overreacting. Have you heard that before? Can you relate to that? Temporary kindness followed by repeated toxicity. So I want to tell you this. Are you listening? Do not build your future on temporary behavior changes. Do not build your future on temporary behavior changes. Patterns reveal what words try to hide. Patterns reveal what words try to hide. Let's talk about step number 3. Step number 3, stop abandoning yourself to keep others comfortable. You need to hear this. Stop abandoning yourself to keep others comfortable. Some people are people pleasers. They fear disappointments. They fear disappointing others. They're always saying yes. Learn how to say no sometimes. emotional self-neglect. This happens, and you end up taking on too much responsibilities, avoiding boundaries, sacrificing rest constantly, staying available to everybody but just not yourself. Staying available to everybody. Let me repeat that again. Many people know how to care for others, but guess what? They do not know how to take care of themselves. So you need to be reminded that you deserve the same compassion you give others. I repeat this again. When we get on the plane, I've said that in some other episodes. When you get on the plane, they tell you when the cabin pressure is low, put the mask on yourself before you can put it, you can help someone else, or even put it on your child sitting close to you. So, step number 4, create healthy boundaries. The boundaries are emotional boundaries, time boundaries, mental boundaries, communication boundaries. So you don't have to answer messages 24/7. You can say no without guilt. Protect rest time and limit exposure to draining people. You don't need to have draining people around you because they can suck your energy. You don't have to have them around you. Boundaries are not punishment at all. They are protection because every open door should not have unlimited access to your peace. Your peace is important. Step number 5, build financial stability. Why do you need to build financial stability? Like I said, step number 5, build financial stability. This is very important and unique. Many people stay trapped because they feel they have no options. They have financial fear, dependency, lack of savings, fear of fear of starting over. They have fear of starting over. Fear have a way of paralyzing us. But the Word of God, for me, I read the Bible and I believe in the Word of God. The Word of God have a way of empowering us. We need to start trusting God and take that leap of faith because the move you are afraid to make, or that move that you're afraid to take, is in most cases is the move you need to make. Let me repeat that again. The move you are afraid to take, in most cases, is the move you need to make to stay alive, to win, to have your peace. So staying in unhealthy jobs due to bills, tolerating emotional abuse due to financial pressure, burnout from working nonstop without financial plan is not good. It's not. So why don't you start doing what I'm doing now, which is learning financial literacy, developing additional skills, emergency savings, creating multiple streams of income, reducing unnecessary debt, and financial wellness. Because financial wellness gives people breathing room. So sometimes peace begins when options begin. Step number 6, listen to your body. Listen to your body. Listen to your body early. My dad and my mom taught us early to listen to our body, but I forget sometimes. I'm work in progress and I'm working on it now. Your body often whispers before it screams. Your body truly whispers before it screams. Sometimes you have headache, you have anxiety, you have insomnia, you have body aches, you have emotional exhaustion. You're irritable too. So ignoring stress signals for too long can eventually affect your health deeply. So always try to remind myself that rest is preventive care. I need to drum that in my head. I try to do that all the time. Rest is preventive care. So step number 7, find safe people. And you can find safe people through mentorship, through supportive friendship, through faith community, through counseling, emotional healthy spaces. So you need people who listen without judgment. You need to have people around you that will listen without judgment. People who encourage your growth. I have such people in my life. They encourage my growth. And that makes you feel good. You have people who respect your boundaries. Because you know what? Healing happens faster in safe environments. So step number 8, accept that walking away can be wisdom. Sometimes you can be wise by just walking away. You walk away. So not every environment deserves permanent access to you. If you want to leave, that is, if you want to leave, I'm telling you, walking away can be wisdom. You have way, you have to weigh, you have to weigh and figure out what you need. Do you need wisdom versus guilt? Protecting peace is very essential. Emotional maturity. Growth requires distance. Sometimes, yes, it does. Growth requires growth requires distance sometimes. Growth requires distance sometimes. So stepping away from toxic leadership, living unhealthy work environment, distancing yourself from emotional draining relationship is important for your sanity. It's really important for your sanity and growth. You know why? Because sometimes living is not quitting. It's not. Sometimes living is healing. Sometimes living is not quitting. Living is healing. So I usually like to summarize this. I would like to summarize this by talking about this tool that I usually use is the take charge method. And this take charge method, T stands for tune in. You have to have awareness. A, acknowledge. In other words, accept that you're going through it. K, keep boundaries. E, energize yourself. Energize. Now, in other way, rest. Create a new vision. Heal intentionally. Act boldly. Don't be afraid. Act boldly. Rebuild your life. Grow financially and evolve into purpose. Okay? So one thing I like to talk about, I always like to do financial reflection. And one thing many people do not talk about enough is this. Toxic environment do not only cost us emotionally, they cost us financially too. So do you know that burnout affects productivity? Maybe you don't know that. Because if you're disconnected, how are you going to be productive? Emotional exhaustion affects career growth. Because you stop. I mean, you're disconnected. How are you going to grow? Stress-related health costs. You get sick, it's going to cost you money. Staying stuck due to fear is going to affect you too. Losing creativity and opportunities. That's what it does too. And many people are not just emotionally trapped, they are financially trapped. That is why learning financial literacy matters. Because when people have options, they make healthier decisions. Financial wellness is part of emotional wellness. It is. Financial wellness is part of emotional wellness. Very important. So exposing myself to financial literacy personally have really helped me. So I can share that with you. Just reach out to me. Go to www.sparklingstar.org. www.sparklingstar.com, and we can talk. So this is reflection time. It's a reflection time. So I want to ask you this. It's time to reflect. Time to reflect. So I just want to ask you these questions, and I want you to reflect on them. What environment in your life is draining you? Have you normalized stress? When was the last time you truly felt peaceful? Are you surviving or truly living? What would healing look like for you? What would it look like for you? So you can be a good person without destroying yourself, you know? You can love people without abandoning yourself. You can serve others and still protect your peace. Healing is not weakness. It is not. Boundaries are not selfishness. It's not. Rest is not a failure. I don't feel guilty about that. Rest. So if this episode spoke to you, share it with someone who may silently be struggling. There's a lot of people struggling out there and they're not talking about it. So if this episode, you know someone that needs this episode, share it with them. And also subscribe to Take Charge with Dr. Chichi for more conversations that help you pause, heal, reset, and rise. And also in the comment section, tell me what part of this episode resonated with you most. So comment, put your comment on what part of this episode resonated with you most. So remember, you do not have to stay where you are constantly being drained. Take charge of your peace. Take charge of your healing. Take charge of your life. See you on the next episode of Take Charge with Dr. Chichi. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Take Charge with Dr. Chichi is a brand of Sparkling Star Development Strategies LLC. The information provided is for educational purposes only and does not constitute financial, legal, or medical advice. Financial services are offered independently by Dr. Chichi in accordance with applicable licensing and regulatory standards. Thank you for watching.